We are hoping you're having a fantastic afternoon. The call-in, not the call-in number, the text-in number here for Rightside Radio is 833-687-4448. 833-687-4448 if you want to text us in a message. JP, the phones are still...
We're working on it. Yeah. It's been a couple weeks in progress here.
Well, that's what happens when the storms come.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Look, there are different kinds of problems. At my house, the air conditioner's dead.
Oh, really? Oof.
And so whole thing of had a new compressor under warranty. Hey, we need the new one. Can you ship us this one? Well, can you ship us the old one? After we finally answered the phones. And so I can promise you, and to everybody out there, you want the phones to be down.
Yeah.
Not the air conditioning.
It's, not the best time of year for the AC to go out.
No, and look, prayers have slightly been answered. The rain every day could be because of me. I'm like, look, just keep it a little cool. That's all we need. Just a little cool. So it'll be okay. But it feels good here at the Rightside Radio International headquarters, palatial studios that y'all broadcast from every day. And we're in 3 markets: Huntsville, Alabama, Chattanooga, Auburn, Alabama. Mm-hmm. Fantastic. So welcome into all of y'all. And I appreciate y'all letting me fill in for Phil today. Lots of stuff happening around the world. Look, here's the thing. The American news cycle is a fascinating thing to watch. And I don't spend enough time looking at the international news to really have a good feel for them. My guess is they're little miniature, ugly first cousins to the American media, probably all spouting the same sort of globalist agenda. This is what we want you to know about. Don't think about this. Don't think about that. Let's just remember that it was just a few days ago that all we were supposed to care about was Russia and Ukraine. And oh my gosh, there, peace this, not peace that. Oh, somebody's blown something up. Oh, that's all in pieces. The bombers are in pieces. We don't know. Here come the Russians. There go the Ukrainians. Who helped who did what? And we could talk about that. We absolutely could. And let's just throw in my little theory is that when the Ukrainians bombed the Russian bomber base and took out some of their nuclear capable bombers, I would just about bet my new air conditioner that's not in place yet that the deep state, the American deep state, had something to do with it. I don't know if y'all talked about it on this program, but there are just so many oddities that occurred with Senator Lindsey Graham visiting over there, and Senator Graham was there, and he was doing his thing, and he was saying he loves him some Zelensky, and then boom, right off the bat, we go or we don't. Ukraine does, and my guess is we're probably 2 or 3 layers back on the plausible deniability scale, where if we were involved, not that anybody in the CIA or any of the other agencies that we don't even know really kind of exist or what they do, not that they would do anything without the knowledge of the president of the United States. I figure it was probably from them to the British intelligence services, and then maybe over the Ukrainians, and so and so. But what I thought was really low rent in that whole deal, and I don't know if this is true or not. This would be a great question for Phil. He might know. But I'd seen a person commenting on that story that said, well, isn't that interesting? Since the nuclear arms that the United States and Russia have agreed to historically, I don't remember if it's SALT or START or whichever group, that those bombers are supposed to be sitting out so that they can be seen, so that we know they're not doing anything sneaky with them, just like ours are supposed to be. So what the Ukrainians did is went and attacked the unprotected, out where they can be seen bombers that are out so they can be seen because they have an agreement with us. Now, I'm not making any accusations here. I'm just saying it just seems odd that when the Williams over there And the Democrat senator, golly, what was his name?
Blumenthal.
That's Warrior Blumenthal, right?
Mm-hmm. But also, Mike Pompeo apparently is there. He's not even a part of this.
He's not even supposed to. He's giving speeches to some European "We Protect Ourselves" committee, or it was some.
I mean, that kind of seems like a violation of the Logan Act, if you ask me. If he's over there talking to them, that's a bit outrageous.
And he will claim that, no, I'm just over here giving a speech. Mm-hmm. But the stuff he was saying, I'm like, and at one time I thought Pompeo was one of the guys of the people. I didn't really read, and that's another. Let me make a note here. Okay, created politicians. I thought Pompeo was kind of one of us, and maybe the problem with the one of us idea is, I have 3 children who arguably, I have 2 sons, 1 daughter, who are arguably, quote unquote, fighting age, 25-year-old, 22-year-old, 18-year-old. And I have no desire for any of them to have to go to a foreign land and fight the Russians, the Iranians, anybody. Now, if somebody's volunteering and they want, I am fully in support of the military. But I'm not in support of the United States. And I think that has kind of been a swing. It's amazing to me that the conservative right is now hey, look, we don't need to be involved in all these things. We're kind of led astray for a long time by the neocons in this country. And they got us involved in things that we didn't need to get involved in. I think President Trump has done a very good job from his first term and in this term in keeping us out of conflicts. But it seems like the world and whoever they are, that's another show for another day, a whole 3 hours or a whole 3 months on who is they that keeps getting us into all these sorts of things. But I have no desire to send my kids, your nephews, your nieces, your neighbors' kids, any of those to go and fight. And then you end up with the Mike Pompeos, the Lindsey Grahams, Blumenthal, and these people who seem more than happy. And we've already seen it with Lindsey Graham and others, that they're more than happy to send our boys and girls all around the globe to fight and die. For what? For the new world order, the liberal world order, the globalists, the international bankers. This is just the way it needs to be. I don't know, I have a radio program. It's on a different time. You can listen. It's Alabama Unfiltered Radio. It's in Birmingham and Montgomery, from 9 to 12, and we talk about some of these things from time to time. What is the goal? Who is running all these different things? And you have to eventually ask yourself. I look back at the way I viewed things years ago when the Gulf War started. And we were all ginned up. We all had to get rid of Saddam Hussein. He was invading Kuwait, and we can't stand for that. And weapons of mass destruction. And, he's gassed his people and he's gassed other people, and he's always fighting in the region. And you're like, yeah, we gotta stop all this. And we spent untold amounts of money. And what did we really do? What did we accomplish? Is Iraq a better place? My liberal friends, when I ask them, they don't want to answer. My neocon friends don't want to answer, because Iraq is not a better place. It's not a better place to be a Christian. It's not a better place to be a minority of any kind, religious minority. It's not a better place economically. It's not a better place. It's not a safer place to live in. It's not a more stable place to be. And then when you start piecing all these things together, I guess you reach a certain age. I don't know when it is. And other people are blessed to reach that age earlier. Eventually, we do have to look at politics and policy and say, did this work? It doesn't matter how much we're for it. That's what I see the left do. A lot of the Karens, the Kyles, the people you and I both know that just kind of wear their emotions on their sleeves. I can remember a conversation I've had, and this is a common theme. I was speaking to a young lady one day. I won't say who it is. May or may not be a family member. And we're talking about a topic. And eventually she just says, well, I mean, she just says, I just want people to be happy. And that was her total argument for everything, was I just want people to be happy. And I'm like, first I'm stunned. I'm like, how is that supposed to happen? People are just going to be happy if everybody just gets to do everything they want? Well, that's not worked its way out anywhere in the world, in the history of the world. It doesn't just happen. There are certain things that we have to do. We have to follow the structure that God has laid out for us in order for people to be happy. That's the whole pursuit of happiness argument. So as much as I am like, what are you thinking to that sort of answer? We kind of do the same thing. We've done it for an international policy. Look what we did in Iraq. Man, we just want them to have a democracy. That's what we told ourselves. We were going to free those people from this brutal dictatorship of Saddam Hussein, and they're going to have a democracy. Yay, spread democracy, because everybody wants freedom. JP, everybody. That's what we're told. Everybody wants freedom. And what did we do? We all bought it. And our nieces, our nephews, our sons, our daughters, our friends, our relatives, people went out, died, came back, hurt, crippled, mentally bothered, post-traumatic stress syndrome, all those kinds of things. Now, luckily, we didn't pull the stupid, things we did during the Vietnam War. We supported people and treated those guys and girls with respect and the way they should be treated. But we did all that, and what exactly did we get out of it? And sometimes we have to ask those things, and we still don't know if there were weapons of mass destruction, not weapons of mass destruction. Then you have all the questions that we've had to learn to ask, and I think that's the beauty of people who listen to Rightside Radio, people who listen to Alabama Unfiltered Radio, the shows that actually ask the questions and say things like, "Wait a minute now, what is the press telling me, and what is the press not telling me?" I think about the Iraq War stuff, weapons of mass destruction. What does that even mean? We got to go to break. I don't mind. I don't even mind you telling me if we have to go to break. But we have to ask those questions, and we'll take that up on the other side. This is Rightside Radio with Scott Beeson filling in today. We'll be right back. Is that it? Is that the point? No, now it's serious. Okay. Welcome back into the program, everybody. This is Scott Beeson on Rightside Radio, filling in for Phil Williams. We appreciate you listening to the show. I want somebody, it can't be that boring, to at least give us a text message. It's 833-687-4448, 833-687-4448. So just so I can see if I can drive all this and make it work, and maybe something that will happen. Before the break, I was just saying, we all have learned, people who listen to talk radio, the folks who try to stay informed. And I know from doing this for a number of years, there are people out there, and I'm going to say this for Phil. There are people that probably contact Phil. They contact me and they're like, Scott, you gotta give people, you gotta get deeper on that. You gotta, there's more to this. And they give me the whole story. And I'm like, look, at least in my point of view, is you already know. You have all the details. And you've gone down the rabbit holes, the rabbit trails. And I'm trying to get the people in who don't have time to keep up. They're not going to spend hours and hours going down the rabbit trails, but give them the main information, the things. If we can get people to begin to ask questions, then I think we win the arguments. From the conservative point of view, our answers are common sense. And if we can get people to ask the questions, and before the break, and how I got to talking about Iraq, I don't know. But when I said, do we make things better? And if you remember Iraq, the whole thing was, we got to go to Iraq. What was it? Terrorist training ground and weapons of mass destruction. Do y'all ever remember somebody saying, hey, what exactly are weapons of mass destruction anyway? Or do we just say, oh, they've got weapons of mass destruction. We got WMDs. We got to stop it. We got to stomp them out. What exactly were they? Well, were they nuclear weapons? That would be a weapon of mass destruction. Well, no, Scott, I don't think they had nuclear weapons. Well, so what are we down to? Oh, well, no, they had mustard gas and probably nerve gas and a bunch of canisters and that's what we've got to do. So that's a weapon of mass destruction. Yeah, weapon of mass destruction. I'm sure there's a definition somewhere, and they've got them. Okay, well, they have them, right? Well, no, they don't have them. We sent those people in there for no reason. No, Scott, they do have them. They absolutely do have them. And that's why we're sending people in there for weapons of mass destruction. So what was the final answer at the end? The final answer for Americans was, JP, was they didn't have them, right?
Go figure.
Well, here's the problem with that, because we never asked the second set of questions. Well, maybe they do have them, but who decides how many of them constitute a real threat? Because I happen to know and have talked to more than one person who was in the military at the time who told me straight up, Scott, I stood there and oversaw the loading of, quote, weapons of mass destruction and watched them be transported out of the country by United States people. Okay, so if I have a person tell me, more than one person tell me straight up after discussing this years ago, that they watched, they were a part of the process of removing these, why did the mainstream media tell us they weren't there? And why do Americans think they weren't there? Well, it must just be. So now we're back to the, third or fourth question, which is, okay, so they have some, but they must not have had enough to mean that they actually had them. Does that make any sense to anybody? So I would argue as we go to break that we're not ever told the truth. And that's the lens we have to look at almost all this stuff through is, are we being told the truth? And are we even using the same definitions? We got to take another break. Right Side Radio. We'll be back.
Hey, all you Rightside ruffians out there, you are listening to Rightside Radio, solid conservative, just plain right.
Welcome back into the program, everybody. I'm Scott Beeson, filling in on Rightside Radio. We appreciate the opportunity to visit with you today. And I also appreciate y'all sending out some messages. So let's see what we got here. I'm going to pretend like it's calls. I could do some voices, but I'm not very good at voices. Is it okay if I say who they are?
Oh,
How
yeah.
do y'all do it? First names or the whole thing?
We just read the whole name out, yeah.
Really? Like Roughly Ann?
Roughly Ann, yep.
Roughly Ann, filling in Phil. Get it? Thank you, Roughly Ann. I appreciate it. Scott in Russellville. I used to enjoy listening to your show when you were on 101 until they changed format. Miss listening to you. I wish we were still doing that, Scott. Absolutely. But, just wasn't in the cards. Scott over at Ardmore. I think I must be texting these to myself. Scott Beeson, you rock. I agree with your points on Iraq. John in Huntsville, do stink bombs qualify as weapons of mass destruction? That's a good question. What exactly was? And that's my point. We never asked those things in the old days. But you know why? Because I think we just, especially on the right, we thought, this is me growing up, we thought America was almost always right. That we were out there defending, life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, justice, the American way, the whole 9 yards. That's what we thought. Yeah. And then we realized, wait a minute, we're not even a democracy. They've been lying to us about that since the turn of, the century. It's a republic. Do you know they did that? There was a systematic change, even to the point that they changed the documents that they were giving to American soldiers.
I did not know that.
Oh, no, they did that. It was when the progressive movement came along and the whole the social gospel law came along. All that time is when they started saying, hey, we really need to convince everybody that America is a democracy. And it was a thought out process. And then they even started just changing because people didn't discuss it as a democracy. It was a republic the whole time. And then they purposefully made that change. And you have people today, they're typing into the Googles, go to the AI, oh, it's a democracy. And you're just, what in the heck is wrong? Jeremy from Madison. Let's see what the guy. Could it be that weapons of mass destruction in Iraq were manufactured or supplied by an ally or America herself? Yeah, I think there's a very good chance of that. Well, there was a story. Who was it? Was it some of those allegedly somebody? God, did I see this? Did I dream this? Maybe y'all have heard this. I have to reach out to the callers, the listeners for this. Wasn't there a German company's equipment or something that ended up in that whole argument of who had what?
I don't know. That'd be crazy if there was, though.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise you.
No, I wouldn't.
Anyway, so lots of stuff to do. The again, the number here, 833-687-4448, 833-687-4448, if you want to text the program. The things that are going on in California. I'm sure y'all talked about it the last couple of days. The riots in California, the mostly peaceful protest. Again, you would think with all the embarrassment that the mainstream media has gone under after the Summer of Love, that they would not go with a mostly peaceful process or mostly peaceful protest. And I thought about that phrase. I mean, think about it. What is mostly? I don't know why I'm doing this. I don't even know why this is a show, but what is mostly? Does that mean if you have 1,000 people out there and 501 of them are just standing around going, hey, where am I? What am I doing? What do y'all go? What's happening out here? And 499, that's less than half. They're setting cars on fire, attacking police officers, just doing all kinds of insanity. Is that mostly peaceful?
Well, they can't deny the cars burning and all that stuff. So if they say mostly peaceful, they're like, oh, yeah, well, we said mostly. We didn't say all peaceful. Yeah. We didn't say completely peaceful, So it's like a form of gaslighting.
Yeah, it's and then what do we take it as? And they go, we didn't lie to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you did. It is. I was told growing up that a half truth counted as a whole lie. If you only give me half the truth to make me arrive to a conclusion that is in error, an erroneous conclusion, that is a full out lie. It is no different. I use this, and my youngest son is always brought into it. His name's Mac. And then you come in and you're like, Mac, how did the lamp get broken? I don't know. And then you got to drill down a little bit more. Well, it wasn't us. It was, well, you were the only one here. You and your buddy were the only ones here. How did the lamp get broken? It was the football. It was the football did it. And you're like, son, okay. And you think he's going to be a lawyer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you're like, well, okay, so who launched the football? Oh, well, that might have been me. You know, it's that kind of stuff where they're not lying. The football did it. Technically, the football broke the lamp, or the floor broke the lamp. The football just knocked it off, and the floor broke the lamp. And that's what they do with this mostly peaceful. I mean, how many people do you have to be violent for it to count as a violent protest? But some of the photos out of Los Angeles are fascinating. What was the name of these taxis? We made fun of them on the show.
Something Waymo.
Waymo,
yeah. Waymo.
Yeah. And we were like, yeah, this ride's Waymo better than the last one. These burn Waymo better than the other ones did. And they're just Waymo. It's Waymo better. But the picture of the guy, and that should be the iconic picture. I'm kind of surprised the mainstream media posted it, but it's so good. It is the guy standing on top of the car, one of those cars with the large flagpole, the Mexican flag, and he has the mask on, and it's the what is it? The Dia de Muerte, Day of Death mask, or looks like a Mexican wrestling mask, but it's the skull face mask. And you're like, this is an invasion. This is not a person who is saying, hey, look, we really want to find a different way to do this. We really just want to be here for a better job and a better family. This is a militant person who loves his home country more than America. And we have a real problem in our country. And that's one of the things the left doesn't seem able to deal with. You don't have to go very far to learn how many people believe that California and the Southwest are rightfully part of Mexico.
Yeah, they've come out of the woods again on this whole thing of like, wow, they're on stolen land, so it's technically their land in the first place.
Yeah. Have you seen the definition of the stolen land thing?
Isn't it?
We bought it.
Yeah,
we absolutely bought it.
Well, it runs literally from Texas all the way up to Washington. It's like almost half of the country.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, so are the Russians going to start protesting in Alaska? You get what I'm saying? Exactly, they should. Yeah. They should get some Russians to move over. We probably won't let them. You know what I'm saying? We'll have a real border for them. But get the Russians to move over to Alaska and just start protesting. Have some Russian flags, burn some Waymo cars, do all this kind of stuff. And then when somebody asks, you just tell them, hey, look, y'all stole this from us. And then you'll have all the leftist professors and all the people on CNN going, no. Yeah, America bought that. And you're like, how do you? But it's exactly like the idea that America in general is on stolen land. And that before settlers came to the United States, before the evil Europeans came to North America, America was, what is that movie? It's a Disney movie, Pocahontas.
Yeah, Pocahontas, yes.
And Pocahontas was running through the woods, and one of her friends is a what's the little garbage panda guy? Raccoon. You know, the raccoon and the deer, trash panda. That's what I say, garbage panda. Yeah. I'm insulting all the Huntsville people. Sorry.
Exactly. That's like 80% of our audience.
The trash pandas. But they're all, it's running through the woods and everybody's living, just taking what they need to take, and no one's fighting it's a utopia. And that is so much absolutely not historical. But I promise you, go down to your local elementary school, you ask your kids, ask your grandkids about how I don't even know if you said Indians, if they would even know how the Native Americans,
the natives,
the Native
indigenous
Americans,
people.
You probably can't say, native is a bad connotation now too. The indigenous peoples of the land, how did they live? And I promise you, half of those children and grandchildren are going to think that it's like Pocahontas. And they had, it was just, they just traded with each other. And you give me some seashell beads and I'll give you some beads made from amber, and you've killed a deer, and I will trade you some fish that I have caught. And it's just all peaceful. And that could not be anything closer to the truth. I was watching something the other day that had a historian on it, and he's like, that is completely false. If you look at the different the large people groups, they terrorized each other. Absolutely. Conquered, enslaved the neighboring peoples. And then if you really, really, really got lucky, the people who conquered you, this is one of these, this is how the left-wing media does it. Let me think of some groups. We're going to call them the Scotterites and the JPsians. Okay.
Yeah.
So the Scotterites are there, and they're just minding their own business. They're farming. You put a fish down, plant a little corn and some peas. They're just minding their own business. And the JPrians come in and conquer us. In the history book, somebody says, hey, but what about the JPrians? They conquered the Scotterites, and the professor tells your children, well, one thing is the JPrians, they were opposed to slavery, unlike the Europeans, and they would never did they enslave a people that they had conquered. Class is over. Thank you very much. And may not God, but the universe bless you. Have a great day. And you go out and you tell your friends about it. You're in college and you tell your parents about it. You totally ingest that the JPrians were opposed to slavery, right?
They were the good guys.
They were the good guys because they were against slavery, and everybody else, all the Europeans, were for it. And you find out 5 years later that the JPrians were against slavery. You know why? Because they sacrificed you and ate you. And you're like, wait a minute. I'm for the enslavement. I don't taste good with barbecue sauce, even though it may taste like pork. We got to take a break. This is Rightside Radio. We'll be back. Welcome back into the program, everybody. This is Rightside Radio. I'm Scott Beeson filling in for Phil Williams today. Get out to a couple of your messages. What did Brian from Harvest say? What about if there's 999 peaceful people and one with an AK-47, pipe bombs, bazooka, Molotov cocktails, whatever? I guess technically that would be a overwhelmingly peaceful, except for all the people who die when you use those
majority
weapons.
Peaceful.
Majority.
Yeah.
We've moved it up from mostly peaceful. Oh, all right. Look, I know I'm a fill-in guy, but ask yourself this, and look, this is hyperbole. I'm taking it too far. Okay. Imagine CNN, ABC, MSNBC, sometimes Fox, you can't tell where they are. If let's make it in Mississippi. Let's don't do Alabama today. Mississippi. There is an event with a bunch of folks wearing white hoods and long dress looking things. I don't know what you call them.
Yeah.
And it's the Klan. Okay. There's 1,000 of them. One guy brings his own car, sets it on fire, and they roll it over in the street. Is it reported as a mostly peaceful process, mostly peaceful protest?
That's a good question.
There's not a chance in heck. And the reason I bring up the hyperbole is that that's what the press does. They always report from the angle that they want. Whatever helps the narrative on the side that they're on. You've got Gavin Newsom getting away with saying, well, hey, look, we had it under control. It may be for California that is under control. They have a very high tolerance for crime to start with. They're probably perfectly fine with only losing a few patrol cars, a few cruisers. It's just a normal day in California, apparently. And so all these things line up with each other. Let's see what Dustin from Hazel Green says. Scott, I asked Phil yesterday, since he's an attorney, but I don't know if they got it. But at what point does the violence and destruction rise to the level where Pam Bondi could charge the identified suspects with domestic terrorism? That's a good question. I personally think it remains property crimes, et cetera, because the terrorism, I'll tell you who actually I think should get the terrorist attacks are the people who are determined to take the mask off the Border Patrol guys, because that really that's how terrorism works. Isn't that the definition of terrorism? Striking fear, hurting people, destroying property in order to have your political goals met. And I guess the destroying property might be a part of it, but the terror fact in that you're getting your way through terrorizing people, scaring people. And that's what they're doing with this whole doxing, trying to dox federal agents, like I said, Border Patrol, et cetera. These folks that go on the internet and say, hey, look, Scott's one of the Border Patrol people, and he lives at so-and-so drive in wherever, Alabama, hoping that some crazy person comes and attacks me, my home, my family, et cetera. That is, to me, that's terrorism. But I think an argument could be made that some of this stuff that's going on is terrorism. And then and here's the thing. you know, if I was out to try to get people or convince people to support allowing me to be in the country illegally, number one, I wouldn't be out waving the Mexican flag. By the way, have y'all heard they've decided to change that? Whoever is supporting these things financially is apparently delivering American flags for the
That'll
next
fool them
for the next round. Because we
now
won't
they're
know any better.
insurrectionists. They're not. They're not terrorists.
Well,
now
no,
they're
see, they want us regular Americans who aren't paying attention to look at it and go, "Oh, they love America." They've done this off and on. The last couple of times there was some of these things out in the streets. They had the Mexican flags, and a couple of days later they went with the American ones, which just causes me to say, wait a minute. If you have to remind folks, hey, look, if you're going to do this protesting for illegal immigration, you should use an American flag. And you have to go back the next time and say, hey, guys, we agreed. American flag, America. You know where their hearts are.
Now, here's the question, though.
Okay.
How quickly would Newsom get rid of these riots if Xi Jinping was coming to town next week?
Last time they cleaned up California.
I guarantee it would be stopped within a couple of days.
Oh, my goodness. It's just, it is beyond me. So here's the questions, and maybe y'all know. What is, the Marines are there, right? So the National Guard is there. Did we send some more National Guard troops? We got 700 Marines, 2,000 National Guard. And what kind of guidelines did we give them? I mean, if I'm a Marine, I'm not letting blue hair Antifa boy with the hog ring in his nose and the thing on the side. He's not punching me. He's not even throwing a brick at me. Somebody's going to tote one home. You know what I'm saying?
I do, and I agree.
Hey, we got to take a break. This is Rightside Radio. We'll be back. all in the Huntsville area. John from Huntsville. Let's see what John's saying. See, advertising my mouse doesn't work. My mices. Here we go. Pardon me. Today, I probably ought to read these before I just, it's bad enough.
That's what I'm here for. I'll tell you.
You tell me if it's bad. Okay. Hey, today is Taco Tuesday. So if those illegal immigrant protesters in California want to gain support, they should be handing out free tacos. Well, look, looting is tough business. After you've been out spending a long night stealing, well, I learned from the news last time. I got a cough. Hold on. I've seen the videos. Stealing milk and bread and eggs for your children. You need some tacos because you're tired. And anybody can go. You can go right now and watch the videos of the looting that is occurring. And it's funny because it looks to me like the National Guard and the Marines don't seem to be stopping the looting, which I'm okay with. Are they there just to guard the ICE facilities and the because I haven't seen that. Have y'all seen exactly what the mission is?
Well, what, these lootings or the riots?
No, for the military guys.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't seen anything. I just keep hearing that the Marines are on standby, ready to go in, and I'm just ready to see them go in. Yeah. I haven't seen much other than the usual of the cops just kind of standing there barricading. I haven't seen anything more. I wish they would just let the Marines go in and let them have it.
And just go at it.
I mean, something's got to be done. I mean, we've reached the BLM part of the looting, and we've lost total. Yeah. We've lost total reason of the whole protest in the first place, and now it's just let's just wreak havoc.
Wreak havoc everywhere. If I was president, and I'm not, people they think Trump is bad. I would never send military guys in, and I don't even know if I would do it with my law enforcement. If somebody throws a brick at one of my officers, it's on. And I don't care if they shoot the guy. You can't say that on the air? Because you hit somebody. Look, I've lived a real life of idiocy. Okay, the bicycle ramps, the old 1980s bicycle ramps. You think we can jump the creek? Hey, let's put a rope swing up, and eventually one of you is going to end up down there in the bottom of the ravine because we don't know how to tie the knot, right? It just rubs on the tree for 4 days, and then finally ends up in the bottom. And we know what blood looks like. We've thrown rocks at each other. We've shot each other with BB guns, the whole 9 yards. And we figured out that these things hurt you.
Yeah.
But I do think there are a lot of Americans who think, oh no, he's just throwing a brick at the police officers. That's not a reason to get shot. Oh no, it absolutely is a reason to get shot because you hit somebody just right with a brick. They're dead.
Mm. Especially where they were dropping them over the bridge onto the cars.
That was insane. And some of those things were huge pieces. Remember, my second question is, how are they getting that up off the road? They're tearing up infrastructure to throw it off the thing. You're like, are they using jackhammers?
Well, you have seen the pictures of the pallets of bricks, too, that are conveniently placed around.
Did you see the report? It was a local news outlet. A truck pulls up, and they're giving out these face guard masks that are like $60 a piece. And they just got a whole shipment of them, and they're giving them to the protesters so you can avoid getting pepper spray and stuff sprayed on you.
That doesn't surprise me. I mean, this is all manufactured 100%, I believe.
Oh yeah, it's sponsored, no doubt about it. And I'm sure the Trump administration is trying to figure out who sponsors. There's some of the peaceful protests, them stealing the bread and stuff. I think that person might have some bread.
Well, there was also a local sushi place that got robbed. Like these people claim to be pro small business. Uh-huh. I hate ICE so much. Let's rob the sushi place down the road. That's the family-owned sushi place down the road. That'll send a message.
There are some messages there.
Yeah.
Like apparently the sushi guys don't count as immigrants.
Yeah.
No, I'm serious.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's a strange development, but I do think, because it's sad to me, you see these guys attacking the law enforcement officials. I haven't seen them attack the National Guard, folks. I do think there's a little bit of a fear, and I think it's important that these protesters in Los Angeles apparently know that local law enforcement is not going to do much to them. Now, somebody that called into my show earlier today claimed that law enforcement in Los Angeles is on the side of the protesters. And I thought, well, that can't be true. And then you've got the story. Let me see if I can pull it up. If I just go back here, golly bum, how do I go back? I have my Apple. Yeah, Congress acts. Listen to this. See if I can pop on that story right here. Congress acts after reports it took hours for the LA Police Department to respond to help the ICE officers who were being assaulted. 2 hours. ICE calls and says, hey, look, we're being assaulted. The story by Andrew Mark Miller. We're being assaulted. LAPD took 2 hours to get there. Now, that lines up with what my caller says. Hey, they're on the side. They are fellow travelers. They are leftist.
Or if it's not even the police officers themselves, if they got a top-down order.
It's the leadership.
Hey, guys.
Yeah, because they're out working. All right, let's do that. Because I will feel better about that if we will say that, no, just the rank and file guy, girl, they're doing their job. They don't know what's going on over there where the ICE raid is. And leadership says, you got to think about even the chief, who the chief's, he's kind of gone both ways, or she, or I don't even know who it is anymore. What do? If they send their guys and girls to go help ICE, are they jobless tomorrow? Are they fired?
That's a good point, yeah.
Says that California GOP Congressman Darrell Issa is calling for an investigation into allegations that the Los Angeles Police Department did not promptly respond to protect ICE officers being assaulted as violence broke out in the city last Friday night. He represents California's 48th Congressional District and is a senior member of the House Judiciary Committee. He's calling for a full and complete congressional investigation into the response time. Last night, over 1,000 rioters surrounded a federal law enforcement building and assaulted ICE law enforcement officers, slashed tires, defaced buildings, and taxpayer-funded property. And then he goes on to say they took 2 hours to respond. But then again, then the rioters went and smashed the windows at the LAPD headquarters. So I'm just advising law enforcement, hey, look, you can't be on these people's side. It's not about, I don't even know if this is all about illegal immigration.
It's not. It's definitely not.
I think it's about the march of Marxism.
Mm-hmm.
And since we don't study what Marxism, socialism, communism has done all over the world, most Americans can't focus on the fact that this is how it works. This is how it starts. They begin to rise up. They have riots. They're revolting. They're being dangerous. Good people hope that it goes away. They're like, we just want it to stop. You saw it. You saw it over the weekend. How many people were saying, look, if Donald Trump will just not send, if they will just leave, if the federal government would just back off, it'll simmer down.
Yeah.
And then the riot, the looting begins. But Americans are out there going, yeah, you just gotta let it settle.
Well, they view intervening as escalating it, which it's opposite.
Right.
So now there's nobody there to calm it down. And I think when you talk about the top order, giving an order down to not let the rank and file guys go in, at the very least, if it's not some grand conspiracy, at the very least, they're just so leftist and liberal in their thinking that they view cops going in as instigating it, which is obviously not true.
No, not true.
It's just unfortunate because I'm sure there's a lot of rank and file guys that want to go in and fix it, but they're kind of handcuffed.
Well, they work in a place where they have to watch somebody walk out of the building, and as long as it's less than $1,000 or $900, you just let them go
because they're bowing down there. We don't have enough resources to arrest all of them, so let them just commit the crimes.
Right?
Come on.
Instead of just arresting what you can get. But I am fascinated with the idea that these protesters have no fear of the law enforcement at all. I mean, and look, I do not mean to be sexist, but these little liberal white girls who are just all up in the face of law enforcement, just cussing them like, I'm like, girl, you're going to embarrass drunken sailors, and just right up and just protected because they know he's not going to punch her out. We might have to delve into that on the other side, what we think about that in 2025. I mean, equality and all. We got to take a break. This is Right Side Radio. We'll be back. Everybody, this is Alabama. Oh,
you were close.
Welcome back in, everybody. This is Rightside Radio. I'm Scott Beeson, filling in for Phil Williams today. Watching the monitors in the palatial Rightside Radio International headquarters. They're talking over at Fox News about the surge in Chinese migration into Mexico. And you know as well as I do, those are just Chinese people go into Mexico for a better life. They just
want to chill on the beach and drink
just
margaritas.
hang out, and it's a short swim over the Pacific. It's not hard to do if you run
pretty much next door.
Yeah, if you take a running jump and hold your breath, you can be most of the way across before you come up. And it was also showing the numbers of Chinese apprehended illegal aliens coming into the United States. Now, let's just be honest. We started this show about common sense and asking questions, and sometimes we should just go, huh? So what do you think the chances are that you just leave China? You just wander off the reservation, basically. I don't know that there's a really, really good chance of that happening.
And to Mexico, of all places.
And then you have to board a plane somewhere, right? Like you can't swim. And I guess they could bring you over, you're in a container, on a container ship somewhere. You smuggle yourself out, but you go to Mexico. They said from 2019 to 2023 was what, a 47,000% increase. I don't even know what that means in math.
Yeah, I think it went from 33 to 14,000.
Something like that. So a 40-something,000% increase. And these people are ending up in the United States. And are they here to, again, for a better life and just to find a job? Or are they here on behalf of the Chinese Communist Party? Are they here to infiltrate and be here when they're needed? We're always talking. It just fascinates me. And I know I've said fascinate a million times, but we're always talking about things like, hey, we used to before Barack Obama, there could be sleeper cells of terrorists in America, Islamic terrorists from the Middle East, over here, probably just training, doing stuff. So when they get the order, they'll be ready to do something. And then we hear stories of thousands upon thousands upon thousands of Chinese nationalists in the country illegally. That's the ones we caught, was it not?
Yeah.
That's the slow ones.
Mm-hmm. No wonder how many gotaways there are.
Yes. I mean, how many times do we catch a bunch of the folks, who turned themselves in for asylum because our guys were overwhelmed with thousands and thousands of people going, quiero asylum. And the Chinese guys were just on the other side of the hill going in.
Yep. And I don't think it's a coincidence. We just arrested our second Chinese national in like 2 weeks with a bioweapon. So,
right. Did y'all see the story a couple weeks ago about all of the invasive species kind of things that have shown up in the United States in like the last handful of years? I mean, we've been around for 400 years, and we ended up with kudzu. We brought that over, and privet hedge from England. And we did all these things to ourselves. We were stupid about that stuff. And we ended up with fire ants and stuff. But for there to be a surge of things that are not good for your agricultural economy, and for your environment in general, I just don't believe in coincidence.
It's targeted.
Yes. So we get two Chinese nationals, one bringing a fungus.
Yeah. It was like from a mushroom or something that specifically kills agriculture, like you said. It was very specific. Like it kills out agriculture.
Yeah. And the second one was some sort of intestinal parasite.
Yeah.
And you're like, because think about it. Say you're a Chinese person, and there was a really good Chinese guy that I knew when I was in college. So number one, you say, I want to go to college in the United States. So you have to tell some governmental leader, right? You've got to fill out a form. You've got to do whatever and say, I want to go to college in the United States. Now, who do they choose? Do they choose the people who swear some sort of allegiance to the Communist Chinese Party and to the country? Or maybe they just let anybody and everybody. If your heart desires, we'll let you go to the United States and you can study and you can end up in the doctoral program. And where was one of these people was Michigan, and one of them
Michigan professor.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
And maybe they do let you just show up. But are you telling me that one day, so y'all need a little voice modulator thing? There's not a hello, we're here to see you. We need to talk to you for a moment. Can you tell us? Can you be my voice? Can you give us a report on what all's going on in your lab over there at the university? Well, not just what you're working on, but can you give us everything you know, especially what JP is working on down the hall? Do you know JP? I really would like you to be friends with JP so you can tell us what JP is doing, because we're very interested in what JP is doing. There is not anyone in the world dumb enough to say to the Chinese communists, if you're Chinese and your family's still back in China, no, I don't think I'll be becoming friends with JP. So my point is, even if that person is the nicest, best, your bestest buddy in the whole entire world, and they're the sweetest person, there's a very good chance that they will have to tell the communist Chinese what they want to know. Or Mama-san, I may be being whatever, that might be terrible. Mom and dad may have a hard life. Please, somebody text me and tell me that, Scott, you're completely wrong about that. Because I'm giving them credit for being nice. But if you get that call, that knock on the door, and that request for information, my guess is you got to do something. So take it for what it's worth. Hey, President Trump is at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Looks like they're having a good time. I still don't like the berets, though. I want the old hats. We'll be back. Welcome back in, everybody. Hey, we're radicalizing ourselves. Oh, is all this on air? Even when I'm commenting during?
Oh no.
Okay, even the stuff between there, because
No,
the
no.
whole video thing, I've probably picked my nose. I've coughed.
No. I bring it back whenever the music starts. So there you go. Yeah, I got you.
So riveting television.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sure that it is. Let's go back out to the phones here, or whatever we're calling them, the text line. Adam made a good point. We asked earlier about, my opinion, because I realize I'm radical, that law enforcement or the military, or if I was the president and I sent the military into any situation, you get attacked, you can just do what you got to do. If you're throwing a brick at one of my guys and he shoots you, then because that's a deadly weapon. And for people to think that it's not is insanity. But again, you know why that is, JP? It's because we watch movies. And in the movies, we have these two guys fighting, or a girl and a guy fighting, and they're hitting each other with pipes and baseball bats, and one of them's been shot twice, and they're still running 27 miles, and they got hit in the head with a huge chair.
Like a cinder block.
Yes, and they're like, oh, shake it off and keep fighting. That's not how it works. We're really kind of glorified tomatoes.
Yeah.
We burst easily.
Well, the people don't understand the reality of violence anymore. Like, it's a brick has killed people.
Yes.
So especially when you drop it off a bridge. So.
Yes. It's unbelievable. And anybody that believe it, come over to the house and we'll run a test.
But
I'll do the brick.
But a rubber bullet from the police, that will get amplified over.
Oh yeah. You know what? When I see that, I'm like, man, I hope I don't get hit in the eye. If I was a protester, I would at least wear a goggle, because I can get hit everywhere else, even in the really bad parts, and be like, oh,
Yeah.
But still, not in the eye. The eye will get you.
Oh, we used to have airsoft wars with my buddies growing up, and my parents would get pissed when we weren't wearing goggles.
Yeah, well, it's cause. Yeah, I knew a lady a girl that got hit in the eye with a BB, and you kind of
you'll shoot your eye out.
She had to have the little surgeries and for it lasted for a long time. So yeah, absolutely, your eyes, and then all these people throwing all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it would just be on. I don't get it, and I hope the president, if he does have to send the Marines or whatever, we would send them these places during we didn't do much of it during the Summer of Love, but I'm not sending my military guys in with orders that say they can't do anything.
Yeah, go in, but then you can't do nothing when they.
Yeah, you have a firearm, but you don't have any bullets.
Yeah.
Really? Hey, look, and if you're afraid the military guys are going to go crazy, then don't go to the riot. Stay home. This person, Adam from Athens, says he threw a rock over someone's head when he was young and got detained for assault with a deadly weapon. So again, it is what we said it is.
Yeah, it's as you probably should have.
It's not a deadly weapon if you're a leftist crazy rioter, but if you're, Adam at Athens and something happens, they'll put you under the jail. Let's go to Dustin from Hazel Green. What has he said? Oh, heck. How do I zoom in on this? Looking for the toughest people in the city of Los Angeles. What does that say, JP? It
says seeking extremely tough, brave men for new crew in building. Looks like
building a crew to do what?
I don't know. But I think Dustin from Hazel Green said that he clipped these Craigslist ads looking for people. I'm not sure what it's asking for, but
are they to protect people's properties or to go be rioters?
I assume rioters, if that's why Dustin's sending it in.
That's crazy. That wouldn't surprise me. Would not surprise me. Well, maybe they'll get a knock on their door. Ad looking for people that was fortunately pulled down. Huh. Very interesting. Well, we'll kind of figure it out. The president of the United States is still speaking at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. This is a study in human nature. So you have the National Guard, you have 700 Marines in Los Angeles. The president at the same time. So if I'm the governor of California or the mayor of Los Angeles, I've got to read the tea leaves and I've got to say, all right, let me make sure things go, let's see if we can't keep this squished down because president is there kind of revving himself up. I'm looking at the troops behind him. They seem very, very happy that the president is there. He's been watching a bunch of military exercises and practices while he's there. So President Donald Trump is going to be ginned up about the military, is he not? He's going to be excited about the military and their capabilities. And then you go all the way across the country to Los Angeles. I mean, if I am him, and he's probably going to be more restrained than I am. If I'm the president and I've seen all these things, I'm like, I got to let these guys go. Mm-hmm. Let the dogs off the leashes.
Well, if you noticed, we had Fox News consistently showing his speech, but CNN had to cut in, and I think the ticker whatever said Trump talks to military after mobilizing Marines in Los Angeles. They're trying to paint him as a dictator.
Yes.
Again.
Yes.
Meanwhile, over here, they're on Fox. They're simply, saying how great the military is, but it's always a twist on CNN, and they had to cut in and tell you the narrative.
Well, they had to make sure you knew what you were supposed to think about.
Yeah.
You couldn't think about it on your own. And you're right. JP was telling me that, so they keep Fox News on here and CNN, and that they have noticed historically Donald Trump the picture makes Donald Trump look more orange on CNN than on Fox. On Fox, Trump looks like his face is tan. He's more orange over on CNN. I mean, the ties look like they're different colors. The podium is a different color. The insignias on the military guys look like they're different colors. So you have to know that CNN is, they want to make you think what they want to make you think. So anyway, Hillary Clinton has weighed in. Did you see this?
I didn't.
I didn't even know. I mean, how old is Hillary? Is she going to be around for forever? Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton was mocked by critics over a, quote, delusional ex-post describing the anti-ICE riots in Los Angeles. Let's just not even get the conservative, the Fox spin. Let's see what exactly she said. All right, I want to give it to you unspun. Clinton posted her first and only comment as of Tuesday morning regarding the Los Angeles riots. Here it is. California Governor Newsom didn't request the National Guard be deployed to his state following peaceful demonstrations. Trump sent them anyway. She continued on, it's the first time in 60 years a president has made that choice. Trump's goal isn't to keep Californians safe. His goal is to cause chaos because chaos is good for Trump. Really? You think so, Hillary? You think chaos is good for Trump? Well, if chaos is good for Trump, why are your boys and girls out there setting the city on fire? Why are they out rioting and looting? The comment sparked widespread backlash among critics who repeatedly urged the former First Lady to, quote, shut up. Oh, my goodness. Hillary Clinton, almost the president of the United States, reduced to people telling her to shut up on Twitter. You think Bill ever told her to shut up?
I'm sure.
I think he might have said it in his mind, but I think he's afraid of Hillary.
I think obviously he did what he did, so I think Hillary kind of has the right to tell him to shut up from here on out. So she may have the leverage over him, but yeah. But also, I mean, I don't know if you saw Gavin Newsom claim that Trump never called him, and then Trump put out a screenshot of him when he called Gavin Newsom today.
No way.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he posted receipts of it.
Did Gavin Newsom really say?
Gavin Newsom claimed that Trump had not called him today about the riots, and Trump, took a screenshot of outward call to Gavin Newsom at this time and posted it to show he's lying. So there's a lot of lying going on from one side.
Yeah, I mean, look. Anyway. California has filed a lawsuit against the Trump administration for efforts to allegedly, quote, federalize the California National Guard. So what is California claiming that they were going to do about it? And do they actually believe that Americans think this is just So let's go back. All of this stuff started because I showed up at a Home Depot. Is that the story?
The story is I showed up at Home Depot and this donut shop. I don't know the name of the donut shop, and apparently was looking for them there. And apparently, the left's narrative is that caused panic and fear, and so that's what sparked the riots, according to the that's the story.
And it just so happens that people just flow into the streets like a fire ant bed's been kicked over.
Oh yeah, it's not organic at all.
Yeah, no, that's kind of where I'm going. And so I shows up at Home Depot on a Friday morning, and they're like, "Hey, we're here. We need some grass cut, whatever." And then they stop by a donut shop to get donuts. I don't know if they were trying to get anybody or not. And then all these people, before they can even leave, there are people standing in the streets, on the sidewalks, ready to throw stuff and stand in front of the vans and all the stuff we saw the first couple of days. All that stuff happened because they showed up at a random Home Depot and a donut shop. So, number one, like you said, it's not organic. Number two, who knew they were going to the Home Depot and the donut shop? Oh, Scott, they didn't know. That's what's been the problem all around the country. Elected officials, bureaucrats who were given a heads up so that they would know that some sort of activity is occurring, letting the activists know, hey, here's where they're coming.
While
now,
also doxing the agents.
Yes. So what had to happen in California was, all right, look, we're not going to warn everybody not to be at the Home Depot or not to be at the donut shop. I still think the donut shop was because it was law enforcement. I don't think that has anything to do with them trying to get the illegals at the donut shop. So we'll go with the Home Depot. And all these people happen to know to be there. It was planned, and California is the place. And then you have to ask this question. I'll tell you the question on the other side. I'm going to write it down so I don't forget it because I'm bad to forget it. But I think it's going to prove my point. And you're going to say, Scott Beeson, that's a good question. We got to take a break. This is Rightside Radio. We'll be back. Welcome back in, everybody. This is Rightside Radio. I'm Scott Beeson filling in today, and we appreciate you listening to the program, as it's kind of been our deal here. Let's see. Dustin texted on back and said the recruiting thing from Craigslist was from, I don't know who this is, Patrick Bet-David.
Patrick Bet-David's a big podcaster. Yeah, so
not big enough for me to know.
Maybe big in my generation.
In your generation, yeah. So that's where it's from, the podcast. They showed it. Then Brian up in Harvest, Alabama, said during the Summer of Love, you could find those ads all over Craigslist. Oh, interesting. For tough guys to be, anarchist, Antifa people? Let's see. What does Connor from Huntsville say? Just want to let you know you're doing a great job. Thank you for filling in for Phil. A home run, maybe not outside the park, maybe inside the park, but still home run. All right, I'll take it. Look, I'll take an inside the park home run. I didn't say I had that kind of distance.
A little league home run.
I'll take it. Absolutely, a rag ball home run. I'll take whatever kind of home run I could get. All kind of stuff going on. The president is now talking about he's still at Fort Bragg speaking, discussing the attacks on the ICE officers. CNN is still, I think the National Guard guys are defending the federal properties. It looks like they're at possibly a VA hospital. Huh. So
it is a VA hospital.
Yeah. So maybe that's what they're doing. Did you see John Fetterman? Y'all remember John Fetterman? The guy who shows up wearing sweatshirts and hoodies, and he I think he's going to have a Democrat opponent for his reelection. Now, I'm not 100% sure he actually won his last election. It was, back in the day when just odd things happen. But he came out and said, where is it? John Fetterman spoke out against the, quote, anarchy and true chaos in Los Angeles, declaring that Democrats forfeit the moral high ground if they do not decry the violence. Continues on. I unapologetically stand for free speech, peaceful demonstrations, and immigration. But this is not that. This is anarchy and true chaos. My party loses the moral high ground when we refuse to condemn setting cars on fire, destroying buildings, and assaulting law enforcement. Elon Musk replied to the post with an American flag emoji. I don't know how the Democrats put up with Fetterman. Now look, he believes like the Democrats did just a few years ago. Now, don't forget, Democrats used to be against illegal immigration, and we can play the clips of Barack Obama saying you got to have order. Barack Obama deports more people than the last couple of presidents, the whole 9 yards. But Fetterman says he's straight up. This is what liberals should be for: free speech, peaceful demonstrations, and he's for immigration. He probably could have put, I'm for illegal immigration. Maybe not. Maybe he's not for illegal immigration. But let me ask you all this. There's a whole different listening audience. So, golly, I don't know I've swallowed a frog or something. Hold on. This is how I do professional radio.
It's real. It's authentic.
You hear all the straw. And usually I'm eating something. Are we for, back when I was in the legislature, I served, Phil served, we served at the same time. I think he stayed another term after I got out. And I sponsored legislation, the big illegal immigration package years and years and years ago. And I would warn people, because our side was really bad, JP, to say, well, I'm for immigration. I'm just not for illegal immigration. And I knew enough at the time, kind of like what we were saying about ask the right questions and understand what they're saying. And I began to hear that so much that I was like, wait, just cool, calm down just a little bit and be careful with what you're saying. Because if you say I'm for immigration, I'm just not for illegal immigration. When the day comes that a Joe Biden or a Hillary Clinton, a Bill Clinton, a Barack Obama says, you know what? And they basically did this during the Biden administration. So, you know what? All these people, they wouldn't be illegal if we would just claim that they're all seeking asylum.
Mm-hmm.
So they're really doing the legal process, Scott. They're just seeking asylum. So now we've got to do the whole, this is not the first time they've rolled out due process, by the way. Now that they're seeking asylum, Scott Beeson, they have due process. You can't just send them back. They're asylum seekers. See, this is legal immigration. This is the proper way, Scott. As soon as they stepped over the border, they turned themselves in seeking asylum. So are we against 10 million people that came in, or 9 or 10 million people that came in during the Biden administration? So I asked my quote unquote conservative friends, well, it was legal.
Technically, yeah.
Yeah.
Taking advantage of the legal system.
Exactly. And it was our people that went out because they didn't want to look mean. And I keep trying to tell them, folks, look, if you're speaking the truth, eventually somebody is going to say you're being mean because you're not letting them get their way. That's all they care about, is getting their way. And now I'm not for more immigration. Scott, are you against immigration? Yes, I am. There has to be a cooling off period. There has to be a time for people to be Americanized. What is it? What's the fancy word? Assimilate. There has to be a period for assimilation because we've got it way out of control. That's how you end up with people protesting with Mexican flags. We got to take a break. Right Side Radio. We'll be back. Good to be here. Let's see what John from Huntsville is having to say. Our text line here, 833-687-4448, 833-687-4448, if you want to be a part of the program. John says, JP, the screaming goat?
Yeah. So this is the backstory behind it. Whenever Trump was enacting the tariffs and he called the Republicans against it panicins instead of Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
So Phil had me make a panikin sound effect, and it's a screaming goat sound effect.
Here.
So that's the panicking sound effect.
Okay. All right. Look. Yeah.
And we've gotten text to people.
That also sounds like a panic in Pride Month.
Just a little bit.
Do it again. Do it again.
We've had people text in and say that they've locked up their brakes when we play that when they're driving. So we try to give a little bit of a warning ahead of time.
That's good. That's good. Well, if I had not been talking the whole time during the thing, okay, look, it looks as if, according to CNN, the 5th day of demonstrations, they're preparing for another night of rioting. Is anybody going to claim that this is still about stopping deportations? The 5th day, I'm watching video after video of people looting and trying to get out of stores and get away.
I think they've forgotten the reason they're protesting.
Yeah, and look, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, the California police, the LA police are racist. They absolutely are. Because 2 of the 3 guys that they caught were white. And everybody else got away. What? It's the truth. I'm watching it right there. Why are we? That is what has happened.
I think the reason though is the reason we said off air, but
they were slow.
Yeah.
Both those guys were slow.
One
of them was fat. So he was slow. That's the thing. But you wait on Los Angeles. Wait on the police report. That may be the only 3 people they caught. And it's going to say 2/3 of the rioters that were caught were fat white guys. I'm just telling, this is how they do it out there. It's what they do. Look, none of those guys, none of them caught. None. They're just running.
How about the guy filming there instead of trying to trip one of them or something?
Is that the Apple store?
That's the Apple store, yeah. I guarantee.
Back.
If you trip the first guy, the rest will fall behind him. So just like, instead of filming it, how about you do something?
All right, I'm also watching. I don't think these guys are worried about being deported.
No.
So what is actually going on out there? Has this become an excuse to loot?
Yep.
It's just, I don't know. I mean, we live in America. How is this going on? How do we have places where you tell your children or your wife or even yourself, we're not going down there at night? How do we have that in the United States of America? How do we get to the point? You're young. You're like, wait a minute. What do you mean? How did we get there? It used to not be this way in the United States. Everybody from that, no matter how they looked, were able to go. Hey, remember our story about how are they getting the stuff to throw at people? Look, he has a little sledgehammer in a backpack. He is busting up the concrete, and other people are coming, busting up the curb, and people are coming to get a piece of the curb to take with them to be able to throw it at law enforcement. That's what the peaceful protests are.
Mostly peaceful.
Protests. You're right.
Because down the road they were just holding up signs and being normal.
Those guys. But all right, JP. I don't know you well. This is the first time we've been on the show. Last time I did the show, and usually it's kind of like when I teach Sunday school. I make so many people angry that they have to wait a long time before I get to teach again. And so it's kind of like this on this program. I'm sure it'll be a long time, and hopefully you'll still be here. But the last time you decided you were going to go protest, I've forgotten the last time I was going to go protest. Did you think, you know what? I need a shield for my face because I'm probably going to be pepper sprayed for what I'm doing. And then you called your friend and you're like, friend, are you bringing the sledgehammer? Because we could need a sledgehammer in case we're going to bust up the curbs, in case we need to throw them at the police officers.
I've never participated in a protest, but I don't think I would have done those things. No, I don't think I would have put myself in that position.
You know what? I think I have been to a protest. I think I have. I did I was one of the speakers at a pro-life event in Birmingham one time. And it was an interesting situation because I was in the legislature. They asked me to come speak, and I don't know, I probably didn't say 5 words or 5 minutes of words, but we were there, and it was by this, they were praying and doing the thing, and they had gone down one street or whatever, and I'm trying to get to where I'm supposed to be, so I'm walking down the edge of the street, like in the curb, in the gutter, and a police officer just crawls my case about how I need to get out of the street and all this kind of junk. And I'm to the point where I'm like, I'm getting that, that I'm about to bow up feel. I mean, he is acting like a jerk because clearly he is not on the side of the pro-life protester. He's against it. And so that's my experience with. That's why I tell people, look, when you think the police are after you because you're young or how much melanin is in your skin, or I'm like, no, that's not necessarily the case. Sometimes guys are just jerks. Just they are. Now, am I still on their side? Yes. I don't want anything to happen to them. I want them to be able to go home, see their kids, see their family, the whole 9 yards. So let's not, the folks that are after the police and see them as the enemy because they're representing the government, I have a real problem with that. But this stuff is, I don't see how anybody defends what is going on in Los Angeles right now. A couple of different things. I used to tell people that the Los Angeles Times was one of my favorite publications because it's just interesting to read what they think, what they have to say, and when you do that, you begin to understand why the Californians have some of the issues they have. Because when you look at the headlines from the LA Times, you end up with, let's see, here it is. How LA law enforcement got pulled into the fight over Trump's immigration crackdown. That's one of their stories. Another one, lack of coordination over military deployment poses significant challenge. What significant challenge? You load up the military guys in the trucks and they go to where they're going. That's not a significant challenge. The headline, listen to this one, because California cares about how much stuff costs, right? All right, let's just get that understood.
Yeah, with their $7 billion deficit or something like that. Yeah, $70 billion.
We're going to ask about this. Troop deployment to cost $134 million. $134 million. How does it cost 130? You know what this is like? This is exactly like when the legislature would be called into special session, whether it was or any of the governors called into special session. If it was a special session for something, the old mainstream media in Alabama, you remember back when there used to be these paper things. They called them newspapers.
Yeah.
They're mostly pretty much gone. Now they're just like websites to show pictures of Alabama and Auburn football. But they were newspapers. And if it was an issue that the newspaper people were for, you were just having a special session.
Mm-hmm.
The governor had called a special session to do good things for the state. If it was something they hated, it was The governor and the legislature are wasting $30 million having a special session for whatever. And my question was always, how is this costing so many $1 million? The entire staff of the legislature, all the secretaries, all the bureaucrats that support it, work all year, whether we're there or not. They're getting paid, right? So the most this thing costs is the hotel bills, the per diems. How do you get millions of dollars? They never did tell me the answer, how they get there. But $134 million, are we not paying these military guys anyway? I mean, maybe, are we putting them up? I bet we're not putting them up in the hotels that they put all the illegal aliens up in. Anyway, I have questions. Maybe a liberal will call, or at least text us. 833-687-4448. Let me know. We'll be back. Welcome back into the program, everybody. So if you're spitting on an American flag that's on fire, are you trying to put it out? No, I didn't think so. Hey, these people are pretty good. This is why you do it. This is why you get work done. They're showing them. No, he's clearly spitting. Yep, he's clearly spitting. They have a special deal here. American flag on the ground on fire. They got a guy that will spray lighter fluid on it to make sure it catches up and gets going really, really well. And when that flag burns, a guy has another flag to lay right on top of the last flames of the first flag. So you can basically have an eternal burning American flag, JP. I mean, that's how you do it. When you're a professional protester. That's the other thing. When you and I are getting our protest stuff together, you're getting the big hammer, the sledgehammer. It's a short handle one, so it'll go in your backpack, but you're getting that. I'm bringing the face shields because I'm worried about my eyes. Remember, early in the program, worried about my eyes. I don't want to get hit by a bullet in the eye, a rubber bullet. And we need to go by the store and buy a bunch of flags because that's what you do when you're going out to peacefully protest and use your First Amendment rights. So,
but if Americans went down into Mexico and went into the street, started protesting against Mexico,
we can't even get there,
burning flags, that would be considered an act of war, and rightfully so. So why is this any different? If we got
the last time I went to a foreign country, I think the last one I was at was Honduras. To Honduras, and when you got out of the airport. Or when you got off the plane, you had to go through their version of customs. And I was just with a group. I don't know where I'm going. I'm following you. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, I'm following you. So I'm at the back of the line. And you go through customs, not you, but the group I'm with. They go on through. And I get there and they're like, hello, senor. And I'm like, hello, hey, good to see you. And you give them my stuff. They're like, well, where are you staying? I don't know. I don't know where I'm staying. They want to know where I'm staying. They want to know, how long I'm staying. And I'm like, I don't know, 4 or 5 days. I don't remember if we're leaving Friday or Saturday or whatever. I know, I'm coming when I'm with the group. I get held. They won't even let me leave because I don't know where I'm staying.
That's crazy.
So I'm getting my cell phone out. It doesn't work because we're in the basement. And finally they're like, where's Scott? And they come back down, have to get permission to come back down because you're not supposed to go backwards through the process to come and say, and then my buddy has to say, oh, we're staying here, and they let me through. So they won't even let me out of the airport, much less go and protest against their government, much less overstay. They ask me when I'm leaving, so when I don't show up, they're coming to look for me. Mm-hmm. And then we have Karen and Kyle in the United States just basically saying, anybody and everybody who can manage to wander into the country just gets to stay here.
While burning our flags, wreaking havoc.
Yes. And costing the taxpayers money. And then I see all these people. It's hard for me. And I know that I learned a lot during the anti-illegal immigration process here in the state of Alabama. But the fact that there are so many Americans who believe that an illegal alien in the country doesn't cost anybody anything is amazing to me, because you ask them, okay, well, who pays for their health care? And they're like, well, I know who pays for it. Me and you, the taxpayer does. Mm-hmm. Who pays for their children's education when they have children? Me and you, the taxpayers do. And they get into this whole thing of, well, they pay taxes. Half the time that's not true. They're not paying taxes. Well, somebody must be paying taxes for them. So, somebody might be. And it's astounding to me that Americans can believe there's not a cost. And then you ask, okay, the person that they took their job, what happens to that person? Do they go on welfare? Do they go on the government dole? Well, yeah, they do. Which means that the person that we're paying for their health care, now we're paying for two people's health care. And we've got another person unemployed. Also that this business or business owner can pay somebody less, at least at the time. And then they want to say, well, you know, these are jobs that Americans won't do.
Yeah, that's the one that gets me the most.
That drives me insane.
It's like, oh, well, you lazy Americans don't want to go build roofs or whatever.
Right.
It's like, okay.
Right.
Who had that job before they came?
Came here.
Yeah.
I had grown men. This is going back years. It's kind of bringing back some memories. I had grown men telling me, we did these little hearings around the state, and then sometimes they came and visited in the legislature, or I would see somebody out, and they would say, hey, I've lost my bricklayers, drywall guys, roofing guys, framers. I remember a lady that had her own. She was actually at the hearing in Huntsville, Alabama. We had one in Huntsville, and she had lost her cleaning business because she couldn't compete. She was like a single mom running her own little cleaning business. I mean, what, a couple of employees put out of business, undercut by this guy that was willing to hire as many illegals as he could. And I'm the evil guy because I want to stop the illegal invasion. And everybody else gets to run around and act like they're saintly because they're looking out for folks from other places. And I'm like, who is looking out for her and her child?
It's not the stories they tell, though.
Yeah, just me and all the other stormtroopers. We got to take a break. Alabama Unfiltered Radio is not here. This is Rightside Radio. We'll be back.
Hey, all you Rightside ruffians out there, you are listening to Rightside Radio, solid conservative, just plain right.
Hey, welcome back into the program, everybody. Rightside Radio. I'm Scott Beeson, filling in for Phil Williams. We appreciate you listening to the show. I'm just, look, my studio, I don't have TVs, and I'm one of those people that have some sort of attention deficit of some kind, and I'm just having to watch what is happening. Girl down.
It's
One of the protesters.
It's a lot of stimulation.
It really is. It really is. Apparently a girl protester. Now, look, here's the difference in today and in the past. In the past, maybe even going back to the 60s or whatever, yes, you had cameras, and you're a Time Life magazine photographer, and you could stage a shot. You know what I'm saying? Now, you only had a few rolls of film. You couldn't just waste them. But you could stage a shot. And then I will just tell you that I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that at least two of the most iconic photos ever from the 1960s from Alabama were staged. I know that. And people can be mad. They can do whatever. But I promise, when Judgment Day comes, and probably won't make it. It won't be that important to you on Judgment Day. But after Judgment Day, if you make it through, I'm going to be in heaven. If you make it through, we'll go to the archives and we'll look it up, and you will see that, yes, indeed, I was absolutely right that these two events were staged. Now, here's the problem that you have in 2025 if you're a protester. You got to genuinely take it on the chin. You can't just pretend that you took it on the chin or that something got after you or whatever. Because there's a lot of there's cell phones and stuff there. There's a lot of different people there. You got to go up there and legitimately get knocked upside the head, which that hurts. And I feel bad for the poor little, I think it was a girl, looked like a girl. You can't tell in 2025, but she might have gotten smacked for the first time in her whole life, you know? And she's like, holy moly, that does not feel like what I thought it looked like in the movies. She's not up fighting. They had to basically kind of drag her back off. Let's go to the phones. We're going to have one phone caller. This is big time. Jeff from Indiana. Jeff, welcome to the program. Thank you for listening.
Hey, Scott, doing a great job.
I appreciate it. You know, there's a rule in radio, which is never get a fill-in host that's better than you are. And Phil has made sure that he got a host that's not better than he is. So it works out perfectly for him.
I think you're doing a fine job.
Well,
that's all that matters.
Thank you. As long as I'm getting by, it's like when I ask my wife, is this okay? And she says, it's fine. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing a fine job. Yes, sir. What's on your mind?
Hey, you know, these LA riots, mostly peaceful riots, I just wish they could be just as peaceful as the J6 insurrection was, because I don't remember there being any fires and having to do tear gas and everything else like they did in the LA riots, and wasn't burning up things, and shooting people and everything else that goes along with that. So I wish they would just be just as peaceful as the J6 riot, J6 insurrection. So
Jeff, you and I both know that J6 was one of the worst days in American history. I mean, it was almost, the insurrection was almost, I mean, the government was on the brink. I mean, who was it that said, Phil has made it back in here now. So who was it that said it was like the Confederates were basically there? I can't remember who said it. Biden or somebody said it was like the Confederates were there. Remember?
It was awful, man. It was the end of civilization as we know it. Cats and dogs living together. It was everything. They should not have.
It was, I'm just like, because I know enough about Southern history to know that the Confederates probably should have gone there when they had the chance, but they didn't.
I see the gray hair. You're probably there. Who knows?
I was. Robert was a friend of mine. And, we had a different nickname for Stonewall, but he liked that one better. So, But anyway, I digress. But Jeff, now you're right. I mean, why couldn't it be a little more civil like the J6 events were?
Yeah, like I say, most everything I seen was, after the initial volley, the few that actually did something was people just walking around enjoying the Capitol building, and I don't see anybody just out there in California just walking around. Usually they got a rock in their hand or screaming something, or like you say, you never know what you're going to come up against out there,
Did you hear? I don't know. I know you're on the road, Jeff, but did you hear? So earlier in the show, JP and I were talking about, where were they getting all these rocks and stuff? I mean, I've been in downtown Birmingham. I've been in big cities. There's not just pieces of concrete laying around, and we couldn't really figure it out. And then lo and behold, on one of the monitors in the palatial studios, they're showing a guy getting a short sledgehammer out of his backpack and busting up the curb. And then when he gets some chunks knocked off, people come up and get their piece.
Well, this is amazing because apparently all these people that's protesting don't have jobs, and this is the first time they've worked in their life, maybe, and they're actually busting up rock.
Hey, look, if we were running the prison system accurately, there'd be a bunch of those cats busting up rocks for a number of years.
Because they obviously are qualified.
They're qualified. You can do it. You have volunteered to be on the rock busting, making the big rocks into little rocks crew, Jeff.
It seems to be what they want to do. So maybe they just need to get a hammer and go to prison then.
You got it, man. I appreciate it. Jeff, you be careful out there, okay?
You all have a good one.
Hey, you too.
Yeah.
I'm glad he called. That's our one caller. He's the one caller that's got the secret.
We gave the secret number to. We got a brand new secret number, and we're still waiting on the new phone system company to in process our existing number, which is our perfect 800 number that has the word right built into it.
Does it really? You got one of those?
833-448-68 right.
68 right.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Right.
How long did that
68 right.
It says 833-68 right. Yep.
That's it.
Yep. How long did you have to wait for that? You deserve to have to wait.
That's been 4 years ago. I have no idea. I don't remember. All I know is that number is perfect, and yet we can't get to it right now. So,
do the phones still have, when you call somebody, do they still have letters? Yeah, they do. They're tiny. Yeah. When I hit 50, I thought they got rid of the letters, but they're still there. These numbers are not just underlined for y'all, all you young people, JP.
Has he destroyed the reputation of our show today on the air?
It's bad.
No, but we still got about 30 minutes. So
it has been bad. Luckily, we have a bunch of people who have sent us text. JP says he has screened them before. Let's see. What does Chris say? Also got a home run off a bunt once, but still a home. Hey, man, exactly. He's been building me up somewhat, or other people have. Said I hit a home run today, but it was not over the fence. It was in the park.
It was in the park.
And then it got downgraded to, like, minor league, and then down to.
So what was it, like a home run on errors?
Oh no, we're at not even coach pitch. We're at T-ball home run, just in the park. Tim from Madison, let's see. They will not be in the same hotels or treated nearly as well as the illegals were. Tim, you're absolutely right. I was asking, I'll tell Phil Williams, the LA Times, which I like to look at just for giggles.
Got to know what the enemy's saying.
Oh, and it's just fun. I mean, it's good, but you understand why those people are so crazy if they think that is a newspaper of reputation. But it said it's going to be $147 million to have the military in Los Angeles. And I pointed out it was very similar to when the newspapers were all for us having a special session if they were for the whatever it was.
Oh, yeah.
But if they weren't, it was like they are wasting millions. And I was like, how is all the staff is still there? They're paid all year whether we're there. And I know how much money we get reimbursed for. We get paid anyway. So you're talking about hotels and food, and that's it. So you can't make that into millions of dollars. But
and by the way, we didn't call ourselves in a special session anyway. We got called in.
We got called into special session.
But the other thing too, Scott. I mean, they're literally all for the National Guard on Jan 6th. Like, why didn't Trump call the National Guard? He could have, and he didn't.
Right.
And so apparently, when it fits their narrative, they don't want the National Guard now.
No, they don't want the National Guard for the people who were just trying to. And we saw videos people just trying to get bread and milk and running from the Apple store.
Yes.
And I did say one thing that might get you kicked off the air, but
yeah. Pray tell.
Well,
repeat it once we get off the air.
Yeah, I'll wait till off the air. But it was a legitimate question. Even JP was like, okay, it's a question you shouldn't ask, but it was a question. Back to the phone, back to the text message. Mike from Eva said, isn't asking a liberal to call like asking the best place to hit your head against the wall? Yes, I agree completely.
That fits. Nick from Harvest, Alabama, $134 million. These soldiers are getting rich then, assuming it's, what is this? 1,000 Marine soldiers for 30 days. That's $900 a day per person. Well, I hope they're paying them that. That's a good point, Nick. Very good job. Did you ever get paid that much when you were in the military? Lord God, no. I would never got out. They had to run me off. You're paying $900 a day. You'd still be, yeah, absolutely. Still be in there. James from Blount County. Was my text too long? It would be great if you could answer the question either on air or off air. Yeah, it's long. It is long. Holy mackerel, it's long. Here's an idea, James. Brevity. Brevity. Yeah, brother. Let's see how fast I can read. Am I making this go up and down, JP, or are you doing that?
Well, no, he's asking if the Beeson-Hammond Act is expired.
No, it's still law. And that's the interesting thing, because we have the 1819 news article. Says Homeland Security working with Alabama law enforcement to track down unaccompanied immigrant minors, inspect work sites for illegals. It's a monumental task. What we did in the Beeson-Hammond Act, which and I talked to the Attorney General about this afterwards, because it's a weird thing that they did, because what they said was unconstitutional was the fact that, hey, Alabama can't do these things, the ones that they didn't like. You can't do these things unless the federal government says, hey, we need your help. And that was the whole argument. So what I told the Attorney General, Meemaw and I don't talk a lot, but was, hey, look, somebody needs to ask the Trump administration, hey, look, you're not Barack Obama. Can we do these things now? And my guess is the Trump administration says yes. I think they would say, by God. Absolutely they would. Because you remember, you used to have to do all the memorandum of understanding and all that kind of stuff. So it was one of those weird things that were like, well, it's not that you just can't do it. It's you can't do it unless they tell you can, if they'll give you permission. Because we used to make the argument, so you don't want us to run down counterfeiters. We found 2 guys counterfeiting money over here, but we can't arrest them because y'all are in charge of the Treasury, right? You don't want us to stop them. Just let them go, right? And of course the answer is not no, because that's money. You had to tie yourself up in knots to make it make sense. It didn't make sense. Right. But I will say this, Beeson-Hammond Act, we were ahead of our time. We were one of the only states getting out there on it and saying, we'll do this. And that was probably next to, right alongside things like, the Accountability Act for School Choice and stuff like that came later. That was probably the most contested, ugly. It was. We were the devil incarnate as a group, and the protesters in the hallways. I remember getting elbowed in the ribs as I was trying to come down the hall to vote on the bill. Yeah. And just, you remember when they brought the big guys to lay in the door? Lay in the doorway. I'd forgotten about that. It was the biggest illegal aliens you could ever find. And look, yes, back in the day, back before we knew, people were like, my gosh, those are the biggest Mexicans we've ever seen. That's what, I mean, look, I'll never be invited back, but that's what everybody said. I mean, it was like everybody was illegal from, they were all from Mexico, and they were huge. They were like 6'7", 300 pounds, and they just laid in front of the chamber in the hallway. There was like 8 of them. Trying to block us from getting down the hall. Yeah, so security has to come in, drag them out. It was unbelievable. We got to take a break again. See, I told him that's kind of a thing we do, man. I know. Well, y'all got to make the big bucks. We got to take a break, y'all. This is Rightside Radio. Scott Beeson filling in for Phil Williams. Phil Williams hanging out with us. We'll be right back. Loving it. Welcome back into the program, everybody. This is Scott Beeson filling in for Phil Williams on Rightside Radio. We appreciate you listening to the show. Let's go through a couple of these other questions. By the way, for James and Blount County, no, that law is still in place, and I highly recommend that they give the feds a chance to say, yeah, Alabama, y'all go help us do these things, and then let's see what the executive branch does. The only other thing I've always said, and Phil probably doesn't even remember this, during the passage of the Beeson-Hammond Act, there was an amendment that was supposed to be agreed on. The governor's staff said they're for it. I don't even remember the guy that was the chief of staff. And I said, look, it was the part about driving without a license.
Oh,
and
yeah.
making arrestable. And they brought the thing in. We agreed to it. And finally, I told Dale, hey, look, we're not arresting people for leaving it at home. It's that you don't have one.
Yeah.
Like all the other states do. They brought in the amendment. And I didn't look at it. They're like, oh, yeah, this is it. Turned it in. We all voted yes, added it. And then when the whole thing passes, it turns out that the governor's staff people had sent in the original version that they liked.
It had a poison pill in it.
That made Alabama the only place that if they stop you for a speeding ticket or stop you on the highway, they don't arrest you for not having. So a terrorist driving through Alabama, you stop him and you end up having to just do a signature thing and let him go. And we're the only southern state that does that. So I keep telling the legislature to try to fix that, but they will not.
They don't want to touch that thing with a 10-foot pole.
No, they were all talking about, oh, we're going to get some of these parts. I'm like, you guys, there's no way that big old business group will light y'all on fire. Here's Ron from Tuscumbia. Don't like the thought of someone burning a flag, but if they insist on doing that, they should wrap themselves in it first. Very good. Touche. I'm with you.
You got a laugh track for that one?
But you gotta be committed. You gotta be committed. Do we got to scream and goat? Because that's what they'll do after.
He likes our screaming goat.
I do like
screaming goat's the best one.
Y'all said scream and goat. I thought it was a Pride Month thing. I did not. I did not know.
You know what? It can fit.
Let's see. Ali Scott, this has absolutely nothing to do with the subject. That's usually how my shows go. At hand, what has been making me laugh all afternoon is imagining you and Phil sitting next to each other in the Alabama Senate floor and having to put your hands over your mouth because you're making that. That is true. Make each other laugh. So because we're making each other laugh so hard that you're going to get in trouble from Meemaw.
That may or may not have ever happened. I can neither confirm nor deny.
Oh, God. I will tell you the fun. People are like, do men ever grow up? I'm like, no, they did not grow up.
No.
Because remember one time, one of the senators, I won't say who it was, had a little machine that you could put it around other people's desk and it would make noises.
Oh, God.
I don't know if you were there yet. That might have been in the first term.
I don't know if
It was a very senior member who should be respected. But, yeah. So we would put it under.
Who was probably more respected because he did it.
Oh, yeah. It made flatulent noises.
Hey, dude, let me jump in here real quick.
Okay.
While you talk about passing gas, let me just tell my audience, listen, this is long overdue for Scott Beeson to guest host this show for me. And by the way, thank you very much, because I had legal duty today for a client that took me most of the day to get all that stuff done. But you guys out there in the audience, all you Rightside ruffians, you have no idea to the extent that Scott Beeson has been in the mix. And I don't mean like a little bit. I mean like fighting for the cause, putting his name out there for the cause, sticking his neck out for the cause, getting his neck cut for the cause,
losing my head for the cause,
and then having to get it grafted back on to get it lose again. But I don't mean that lightly, Scott. I appreciate you,
I appreciate you having me.
More than you know.
It's been great. And first when you were like, hey, can you come up? I'm glad I did, because it's much easier to talk to JP. And check out the studios. It's pretty
overlooking the golf course.
You got it's a nice setup here.
I do not deny that we have been blessed.
Yeah, it's awesome. Let me see if I can get through a couple of these. If you give me $147 million, you won't need the National Guard or the military to clean up Los Angeles, because I will buy enough high-powered water cannon trucks. You can't say that. And we'll clean the streets in 2 days.